This is Hellbrent for Leather, and you're watching Cast in the Act. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the debut episode of Cast in the Act. I'm Hellbrent for Leather. I kind of an unofficial archivist for the band. I work with the band doing some social media stuff with them and such, but overall, I'm just a massive fan. I put this show together because I kind of wanted to do what I could to ensure the legacy of the band goes on for many, many years to come, as well as the greater new wave of British heavy metal movement and heavy metal as a whole, because my interests are vast within that realm. But yeah, so on the first episode, I thought about doing a solo episode and just kind of doing an introduction as to kind of why I'm doing this and everything. But I had a better idea. There's a guy that I've become friends with now named Tony, who lives out in the Bay Area. He's been a massive fan of the band now since 82, 83. So right around the time that Court in the Act came out, maybe a little before. He'll explain himself here in a moment. But I became friends with him through a Facebook group that we're both in called the NWOBHM Soundhouse, and kind of hit it off due to us both being Satan fans. And yeah, so he's told me some really great stories about being there during that time and such in the Bay Area, not in the UK, but kind of the new wave of British heavy metal making its way over to our shores and the influence it had on the Bay Area scene and such. And rather than ramble on about things that I have heard second, third, and fourth hand, I'd rather have it come straight from the source because he's a great storyteller, and there's a lot there. So I'm going to bring him on now. You there?
I'm here.
Awesome. So I guess let's just get right down to brass tacks. Who are you and why the fuck do people care?
Nobody cares, and I'm a nobody. But my name is Tony, and I'm from San Francisco, California. Was lucky enough to see the birth of thrash here in the Bay Area. But was a huge fan of new wave British heavy metal. And as much as I loved seeing our scene develop, I wish I could have seen that one firsthand, because that movement was amazing. The talent that came out of all of that, just unbelievable, and wrote every riff that you would ever imagine no band today could match.
Sure. I think that I'm with you there. Musically, it was so special because, you know, and I think Russ got a little offended when I asked him. I said, to you, you know, was this band new wave of British heavy metal? Was this band new wave of British heavy metal? And he goes, were they British? Yes. Were they around this time, and were they heavy metal? And did they, rather, when I say were they around this time, did they come out around this time versus like a Motorhead that was before, or a Maiden that was before, and so on and so forth? Although Maiden only technically, because nothing really came out until the new wave of British heavy metal was in full running. But so he was kind of like, you know, these arguments over whether this band was NWOBHM or this band. He's like, I don't really care. He's like, it was great, and if it was great, and it was during that time period, and it was British, then I think it deserves that title. I don't know that I completely agree with him on that, but I certainly see where he's coming from, and I don't necessarily disagree, if that makes sense.
I would defer to someone who was actually there, yep, and who was a part of it. So if that's how he wants to go, I'll go with that.
Yeah, and I forget what band, like I forget who I asked him about that kind of started that. Like, it was Venom. I asked him if he considered Venom to be new wave of British heavy metal, and he said yes. And I said, they're not the traditional sound. And he goes, what was the traditional sound? Everybody was a little different.
Oh yeah, no, there was There was no traditional. Everybody was coming up with their own stuff. It was all original. Yeah, I mean, you could look at Diamond Head, who were massively influenced by Led Zeppelin. But it was just, yeah, there was no definitive sound. It was all original. It was all coming out. And Venom most certainly were a huge part of that scene. And their influence is, you can't calculate.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they didn't start black metal in how we know black metal today, like, you know, Mayhem or Emperor and so on and so forth in terms of that sound, but in terms of being the building blocks that got metal to a point to where that could come out of it, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have, say, Celtic Frost. You wouldn't have Possessed. But yeah, and any of the other death metal and, you know, so on and so forth, that could be traced back to Venom, of course.
And I don't think you would have the term. Like, I don't think black metal would have come up with had it not been for that album.
There were so many different, you know, power metal, death metal. It was just.
Well, yeah, that first the first demo / EP that Halloween appeared on is called the death metal quote unquote demo. And Halloween's not fucking death metal. They're nowhere close to it. No. But that's just what it was called. I mean, there's early Venom, it may be liner notes or literature or whatever, where they were calling themselves power metal because it was the raw power of it and not power like, you know, fucking Rhapsody screaming their balls off about unicorns and fucking dragons.
Yeah. I mean, they were all feeling it out. They are all creating it on the fly. But everything we have now is traced back to them. And further, of course, I mean, your Motorheads, Priest, Sabbath, Sabbath especially. But there is no band today that is original. They are all influenced by that movement or before. And I mean, I definitely consider Maiden part of the new wave British heavy metal, of course.
Yeah, that I think you knew this, but I'm one of the admins on the New Wave of British Heavy Metal Soundhouse page. Anthony was just super bogged down with needing help, or he was just going to shut the page down. I mean, he killed it for a month, and then he came back and he made me and Fred and a few other people admins on there. But in the rules of the page, if you go through it, it says New Wave of British Heavy Metal only in main posts. And under that, it says, you know, don't make main posts about Motorhead or about Iron Maiden or whatever, or Judas Priest, because he doesn't consider those to be New Wave of British Heavy Metal. But yet, anytime I go to decline a post, like, you know, someone posted an interview earlier of Bruce talking about More Balls to Picasso, I went to decline that, and then 5 minutes later, someone approved an Iron Maiden post, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to approve Maiden posts because I think they should be approved. I'm only trying to follow the rules that were given to me.
Well, it doesn't make sense to not include. Yeah, Motorhead was before, Judas Priest was before, Maiden was what, 79.
75 was the founding Christmas Day, but I think the first thing that came out was the first thing put on media Soundhouse tapes, or was that like the first big thing that was commercially available?
Well, Soundhouse tapes, and then there was the Metal from Muthas where they had
Sanctuary. The EMI. Yep. It was Sanctuary and what else? There are two songs on Metal from Muthas.
Yeah, I can't remember what the second one is, but one of them was Sanctuary.
Yep.
But they fall into that timeline.
Yes.
If you look at, you know, 79 to 81 was the big, you know, that was the movement. So Maiden are well into that area.
Well, you know, Def Leppard has said numerous times that they don't consider themselves to have come out of the NWOBHM movement, and I say bullshit.
They were
100% bullshit.
And they definitely are. And if you include Def Leppard and not Maiden, well, that's silly.
Yeah. And I consider High and Dry to be one of the greatest New Wave of British Heavy Metal albums, period.
High and Dry and On Through the Night were great albums.
Yeah, I prefer High and Dry. Russ is the opposite. He told me that he'll fight me over On Through the Night, but he says both are great. He thought High and Dry was a little too Americanized versus kind of what On Through the Night was. And I guess being an American, I don't see it.
No, I'll disagree with him on that one. On Through the Night and High and Dry were still very much British. It wasn't until Pyromania when they got tainted by, Americanized crap.
Yeah, I like Pyromania. I don't love it. I like it.
I don't hate it.
Hysteria, I don't hate, but I don't really like it. And everything after that, I'm done. I have no love for it whatsoever. And I like Vivian. Vivian's a great fucking guitar player, but it's not the same band.
Yeah. I gave up on them. I mean, if they came out here and they were going to do a lot of the early material, holy crap, people would come out of the woodworks. People who hadn't seen Def Leppard in years would come out to see that.
100%. I've never seen Def Leppard live, and I would make myself go if I had to travel for it, because High and Dry is a desert island record for me.
If you've never seen them, you need to go. And you might have you might be hesitant on some things, but you're younger. You are not in a position to sit there and be picky about bands. If they're
Ozzy being the prime example for that. I never got to see Ozzy. And it wasn't being picky, it's just it didn't line up. I've been picky about Def Leppard.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. But I mean, I know circumstances of maybe the travel is not in the cards, but as younger people in general cannot afford to I don't think I'm going to see this show, because you might not ever have a chance again. They're getting up there in age, they're dying off, and some, the ones that still can tour can't really afford to come out here.
Yeah. I need to look through some of the past Def Leppard set lists over the last 5 to 10 years and see if they play. Because I mean, if it's just gonna be just all the bubblegum pop nonsense, it's all right, yeah, I saw them, but did I really see them, or did I see a band masquerading as them?
Fair point. I mean,
whereas I'd cut my arm off to see them do High and Dry.
Absolutely. I mean, I would not go out of my way to see them now.
Yeah.
But if they were to, say, hey, we're going to do a bunch of stuff off High and Dry and On Through the Night.
I mean, if they were to say, hey, we're going to do a tour celebrating the first 4 albums.
Yeah.
Even though I don't really like Hysteria, I'd be there in a heartbeat, because I love the first 2.5 albums.
That's not a bad album either. I mean, they're commercial albums, sure, but they're talented. They're good.
Yeah.
So
before we get too far off out in the weeds, what was your first exposure? Why? I know you and I talked some last night off camera just about kind of your first exposure to bands in the Bay Area, you being 12 and discovering Exodus and Metallica and so on and so forth like that. And if anyone doubts Tony's street cred, if you've ever seen Kill 'Em All or Cliff 'Em All, he's the little kid holding up a drumstick stage right throughout various points of the show, because he was a little kid and had either parents that were extremely badass or completely powerless to stop his rebellious ass. Either way, it worked out pretty good for him.
My life story in a nutshell was my parents had an eclectic taste in music. My mom was Motown to Elvis. My dad was Glenn Miller to the Rolling Stones, and everything in between. When I was 4 years old, I found Black Sabbath's Paranoid in my dad's collection. And by 4 years old, I already knew how to work the turntable. So I flipped it on, and I know it was probably that the cover looked cartoonish, so I picked that. And then to open up the gatefold and see these, I don't know how to describe them, but with the long hair and the cross, and it was just, it looked cool. But it was Iron Man, I played it over and over because I am Iron Man sounds pretty wicked when you're 4 years old.
Yep.
And, you know, still at 55, it still sounds cool. But my older brother was, you know, he was classic rock, the Thin Lizzy and Deep Purple and Zeppelin and all that. So I followed down that road. Then he branched off and started listening to disco music, which is serious. I understand it now. I understand it.
I didn't know this. This is hilarious.
Yeah, but I understand now because like I told you before, you know, we all dressed the same. We all went to the same clubs, and that was our dating pool. But then, you know, as I got a little older, I realized if you put on, like, you could still wear your same jeans and tennis shoes, but if you put on a nice shirt and put some hair care products in and go hang out at the dance clubs, you can get a whole different set of girls. And it worked. So I'm assuming that was my brother's motivation was, you know, girls followed disco. So I'm going to start listening to this stuff. In any case, I branched off and went for the heavier route and started listening to punk bands and Misfits and, of course, Ramones, Sex Pistols, Discharge, GBH, and the metal band.
When is this? Is this like 78?
No. My first concert, I was 9 years old in 79. But it was the following years, like around 81. We had a store, a record store near me called the Record Factory, and I saw Iron Maiden Killers. And I saw the cover, and that was the cover grabbed me. I bought it, and I was hooked.
And remind me, that's 81, correct?
81.
The first album's 80? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I was already, you know, I knew Van Halen, I knew all the classics, but this was the heavier, you know, the heavier side of it. I had already heard Motorhead probably around 1980. And again, my first concert was 79, and I had probably been to maybe 15 under 20 concerts, but these were like arena shows. And the smallest one was a theater show, but all the shows I had seen up to this point were big. And then my first club show was November 82 with Metallica, Vicious Rumors, and Exodus. And that opened up an entire new world for me.
Yeah, you mentioned that show last night when we were talking, and it didn't even occur to me. I'm jealous as fuck you got to see Carl Albert live.
I don't think Carl was in the band at that point.
Wasn't he?
Let's see. Think it was Jeff. Jeff was singing,
that would make sense because Carl wasn't there at the beginning.
Although I did see Carl later on.
Yeah, I've seen Vicious Rumors once. No, I've seen Vicious Rumors once, and it was with who was it with? It wasn't with Rivera. It was after Rivera left. It was like 2008, 2009. I saw him down in San Antonio. My buddy was, he wasn't my buddy. He is my buddy. Lance King. He sang in Balance of Power. He sang in Avian. He sang in fucking a billion bands. Progressive power metal vocalist. Lives up here in the cities, but he had a festival for a few years called Nightmare Metal Fest, and he had Vicious Rumors headline one of the two nights down in San Antonio the last year of the festival, which I believe was 2008.
Well, so keep this in mind. I was 12, and you know, just the whole club experience was a completely different animal. And Exodus came on and played, and they were phenomenal. Just, you know, really, really Judas Priest made an influence, but they're really good. And then Vicious Rumors came on, and I don't know if it was the lighting or what it was, but my image of Jeff Thorpe, it looked like he had a pink afro. And I was looking at this going, what the? Can you curse on this thing?
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? And I wasn't very impressed. It just, it just looked weird to me. And the music didn't grab me. And then Metallica came on, and it was holy shit.
So apparently they were around starting in 79, but it doesn't have a vocalist listed on here at all.
I think it was Jeff.
Who was the first vocalist they have listed? Vocals 82 to 83 was Mark Tate, and then Gary St. Pierre, who was on the first album. It's got Jeff as doing vocals, but he didn't do vocals, at least according to Metal Archives, except for in that really weird period in the mid 90s, 95 to 97. And I think that was probably like Sadistic Symphony and such, wasn't it? Let's see if I'm right. Oh, Jesus. No, I'm way off. Sadistic Symphony came out in 2000. That was the first Vicious Rumors album I ever heard. Word of Mouth was 94. So he may have done vocals on Something Burning. Let's see. Yeah, Jeff did vocals on Something Burning.
I hate to say that I was not a big fan of theirs until I'd seen him a couple times over the years. I saw him in New Jersey in 99, and that was actually the first time that I met Chet Thorpe.
Okay.
And he was really cool. And I was just like, it was funny that it took me all these years and to go across country to meet this guy who's from the Bay Area here.
Sure.
But they were really good on that show. And it was just a year or two ago. And I think they were playing with Raven, and their singer.
Band I've still not been able to see live. They've not come near me.
Everything on that gig fell into place, and they were awesome. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this was the same band? They were so good. And now I find out that singer has left, and now a new guy has come in. So I'll have to see if that guy measures up. But
yeah, they've been a little bit of revolving door vocally for a while now. I mean, Nick Courtney is what year did you say that was?
Which one?
The most recent time that you saw them with Raven, was that last year, you said?
I think it was within 2 years.
Okay. Then it's probably the guy that's with them now, who goes by the name of Chalice. 2024 to present. If not, it may have been Ronnie Monroe, who sang for Metal Church for a while.
It was either opened up for Raven or they opened up for Exciter.
I want to say the Raven Vicious Rumors tour was a thing, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I think Exciter had their own tour because Exciter played here with Night Demon at the Turf Club, and that was 24, maybe late 23. I don't recall, because it was the same year that I saw them at Hell's Heroes, which I believe was 23. I did not see them at Hell's Heroes last year. So yeah, it was Exciter. Fuck, was Night Demon on that show? Yeah, Night Demon was on that show, because I've seen Night Demon at the Turf Club twice, and the other time was with Satan. So yeah, okay. Just a small little club here. I mean, it holds a couple hundred people, maybe. But so now that you've kind of given some of your credentials as to where you've come from and why you are what you're into and so on and so forth, be it with your parents and your brother and such. What was your introduction to new wave of British heavy metal, other than maybe Maiden? Because I know you said you saw Killers, but was that your first introduction to new wave of British heavy metal, or was there someone before that?
Well, I was an innocent kid.
Yeah. Okay.
And and I knew the basics, your Scorpions and all that. And then I got into junior high school and I met all the delinquents.
Actually, hot take. What's your favorite Scorpions album?
Maybe Virgin Killer or Taken by Force. The first Scorpions album I heard was Tokyo Tapes.
Okay.
And to hear that live version of Polar Nights and Uli just tearing it up, holy shit.
I might be a bit of a heretic. Mine is Animal Magnetism.
A great album as well. But
Blackout was what brought me to the dance, but I stayed for Animal Magnetism. Blackout's a great album, but I listen to Animal Magnetism. And I think I got into Animal Magnetism because it was either Nevermore did one and Sanctuary did the other. I forget which, but one covered the Zoo and one covered Animal Magnetism. No, I'm completely wrong on that. Sanctuary covered Animal Magnetism and Bruce Dickinson covered the Zoo.
okay.
And if you've never heard The Zoo by Bruce Dickinson, it fucking rules. It was on like an obscure wrestling compilation from 1994 that ECW put out. That it's, I don't know why they approached him to do it, but he did it, and it's fantastic.
I'll give it a listen. I haven't heard it, but
it's very good. But either way, all right. So Tokyo Tapes.
Did you ever see Scorpions?
I'm sorry.
Have you ever seen the Scorpions?
Yes, I saw Scorpions once. And it was at that same quote-unquote nightclub called The Myth that I saw Judas Priest at. That's the same club that I met Motorhead at. I saw Motorhead 3 times, but that was the night that I met them. That's the night that Dee Snider was a huge dick to me, but then really nice a few years later when I met him. A lot of really cool shows I've seen there, but it's like a 3,500 person nightclub. It's 2 levels. It's kind of like DNA Lounge in that respect, but it's huge. And yeah, great sounding room. I've seen probably 20 shows there, 30 shows there. Really cool place.
Right on. Yeah, and I've made, just like Maiden, I think I've missed maybe 1 tour since '82 for both those bands, Scorpions and Maiden. I've caught every show that they've been out here. And I mean, these guys are mid-70s, and they will still kick the shit out of a band of 20-year-olds.
Isn't Klaus almost fucking 80?
Almost. I mean, he's like 76, I think.
Klaus is 77.
77.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys.
And granted, when I saw them, it was 10 years ago. No, it was longer than that. 12 years ago.
Okay.
It sounded fantastic.
Yeah.
They were great.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
They even, you know, if some of the music got extremely dodgy, I've never, ever seen a bad Scorpion show. Because even if it's a song I don't like, their energy comes off and it's like, all right, I know that they're going to pull out something I want to hear in a minute. So I could suck it up and listen to this. And it's not bad. It's just kind of like bubblegum poppy shit, but that's fine. But I've never seen a bad Scorpion show.
I want to say, let's see. I'm curious to know when it was that I saw them. Oh, Jesus. It was longer ago than that. July. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's when the article came out. Let's see when they actually played. Oh, yeah, fuck, that's right. Judas Priest and the Scorpions played a week apart at the Myth in 2008. It was July of 2008. So a little bit longer ago than I thought it was. But I remember the set list being very diverse. Like there was something for every era of a Scorpions fan in that set list. And a lot of bands don't do that.
The Scorpion show that I wish that they would do, it will never happen here, but I wish it would be Scorpions headlining, UFO support. Which
one I've never seen. I've never seen UFO.
Oh, that was UFO was where I met Sean Taylor for the first time.
Okay.
But you know, if you had Scorpions headline, UFO with Michael support, and Uli Roth opening, and then each of them would come out and do an hour. Uli would come out and do the Uli stuff. Michael would come out and do, you know, his stuff, and then Matthias could finish out the show, and it would be the most epic thing. Even if they just did it one show someplace and film it for worldwide release.
I don't know why they didn't do something like that at this show in Germany that they just did the same night as Back to the Beginning.
Well, Uli came out at one of the Wacken festivals, and he played with Scorpions.
Okay.
But
isn't there a lot of love lost though with Michael? Like, don't they do not get along, correct?
Yeah, Rudy and Michael have some issues. Michael is
insane, but a really good guitar player.
He's fucking amazing, but he did something that was unforgivable to me, and everyone says, he's pulled it together now and go see him, but I'm still bitter about it. It eventually worked in our favor, but UFO were doing some shows down in Palo Alto, and like he comes out, I think it was the second night, he comes out, maybe he broke a string or something, some minuscule thing, throws his guitar down and walks off. And we're just sitting there waiting, and he doesn't come back. And after like 10, 15 minutes or whatever, they come out and announce that the show's canceled. And we were pissed. And then they make the announcement that the show is going to be rescheduled, except it was rescheduled for the same night that King Diamond was playing up here in San Francisco. But then they announced that it's going to be an early show. So it works out. We go down, we catch UFO. And as soon as like the last note of the last song, we run out, jump in the car, 90 miles an hour, fly back, get to the city, and walk into the Maritime just as the lights go down and King Diamond walks on stage. So we got UFO open for King Diamond.
Yeah, I've never been able to see Mercyful Fate, but I've seen King Diamond a number of times now, and it's always a fantastic show. I love King.
Mercyful Fate in '84 was the most intense gig. I mean, you get used to growing up in my era. You get used to all the bands with the pentagrams and the upside down crosses and all the devil lyrics, and it was all fake, but it was cool because it scared people. It scared our parents. Come home with a little, Welcome to Hell album with the pentagram on it, and it was great. But with King Diamond, we knew that this guy's actually legit. Right?
It's like you ever seen Tombstone?
The movie?
Yeah.
The
Tombstone, not Wyatt Earp. Tombstone, the one with Kurt Russell.
Well, Kurt Russell was Wyatt Earp.
Yes, but Wyatt Earp was a movie with Kevin Costner.
Oh, okay. Then no.
Okay. It's the greatest Western ever made in terms of modern times. I mean, if you want to go back to 60s Westerns or whatever, that's fine. There's some really, really great movies during that time, but Tombstone is my favorite Western ever made. But there's this point where Ike Clampett is part of the cowboy gang, and Wyatt pulls out his pistol and he puts it to Wyatt or to Ike's head. And the guys behind Ike are about to bum rush Wyatt, and he's like, he's bluffing, and Wyatt's just looking dead Ike right in the eyes, and Ike's like,
you're not bluffing.
He's not bluffing. He's not bluffing.
Yeah, that's a movie. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, that's Tombstone.
I love
he's not bluffing. That reminds me of King Diamond with all of the pentagrams and the imagery and the lyrics and all that stuff. No, he wasn't bluffing. True believer, 100%.
Absolutely. So they came out here in October '84, and we couldn't believe it, because I had only discovered them in '82, so it was a very short time period for learning who they were and actually seeing them, and it was awesome. You had Death Angel opened, Lost Rocket support, and Mercyful Fate. Again, I mean, it was just. If I hear the Oath at any time, I'm immediately transported, and I'm back into the smoke machine filled room with thousands of people and watching this guy up on stage with his little bone cross.
That's something that's so unique about music. There's nothing else that gives someone that feeling where you hear something and you're just like, oh fuck, I remember that exact moment in my life.
Exactly. But this takes me to a specific moment, and also on that night was they invited Metallica to come out and rock out with them, which there's a funny story that goes into another funny story to another.
That's not the James birthday gig, is it?
No.
Okay, I didn't know that video existed until like a week ago.
Yeah, no, that was August '87.
Okay,
I was at that.
Of course you were.
there was a guy, Ray Vegas, and he was a guitarist in Social Unrest. He was the guitarist for Violence for a while. And when I met him, he had been well traveled at that point. And I was 17 when I met him. And whenever we would talk about, any country, England, Germany, France, anything, he would just like look over, been there. And I was just like, you motherfucker, because I hadn't been anywhere yet. And
I've been to most states in the United States, but I was driving through when I was on tour with a band in 2007. I didn't stop in any of them except for gas, but I can still say I was there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've went across the states, but I hadn't been overseas yet. And, every single country been there. And I was just like, you motherfucker. And then years later, we were talking and I mentioned Japan. He's like, oh man, I've always wanted to go there. And finally I was like, been there.
Now, speaking of been there, I was trying to figure out how to bring these up. So I've gotten some cool stuff from you in the little bit of time that I've known you. One of my most prized possessions that I'll get to here in just a moment, but you were kind enough to throw these in the tube with it. Did you go to all of these shows, or are these just posters that you got or flyers that you got separately from friends there, maybe trading stuff around or whatever?
No, I was there. Yeah, I was at all those. In fact, I was at I wasn't at that Primus one, but I was at the Chili Peppers. I was at the
Primus opened for Chili Peppers on this tour, or on this show. Saturday, July 11th, Red Hot Chili Peppers with special guest Primus and Dot 3.
I don't remember seeing Primus on that one. I did see Chili Peppers. I was at the top one, the Testament Heathen, the two Sabotage shows.
I never got to see Sabotage in their prime when Chris was around. And technically, I've never seen Sabotage, but I did get to see the quote-unquote Sabotage reunion, as it was called. But they couldn't call it Sabotage because Paul O'Neill wouldn't let them. This would have been 2004 or 5 at Prague Power. It was quote-unquote Weapons of Mass Destruction. And it was Doc, John, Chris, Middleton. Was Middleton there? Middleton was there. And then who was the other guitar player? I want to say it was son of a bitch. I can't remember his name, but he played in John's solo band. I can't remember his name. Very good guitar player. But it was just a classic Sabotage set. Like before Zach was there, so they probably played up through Edge of Thorns. I don't think they played anything after that. But yeah, a lot of Mountain King and Dungeons and Sirens and all that stuff. It was fucking awesome. So I'm pretty jealous that you got to see Chris live, because Chris one of the greatest guitar players to ever live.
So I don't want to be that guy, that does the been there. But
no, that's why I have you on this show specifically, because you have been there.
But unfortunately, I could say, look at these shows and go, yeah, been there.
No, that will not bother me. I love hearing these stories.
Well, there's someone who I know that does like get offended at that shit. But
dude, you have an original Tank poster behind your head. Like, what's to hate?
I had to have the appropriate background for this.
I figured that you probably hung some different, because you took a bunch of pictures of posters and stuff that you put on Facebook over the last week and a half or so.
Yeah.
I figured you probably changed some stuff out to fuck with the kids that were coming over there to buy some records from you. You'd be like, oh, hey, look what I got. You can't have these. You may purchase these. This is not for sale. You're like the comic book guy on the fucking Simpsons.
Just like, you can't see it, but I was going to show you the Blitzkrieg poster and go, can't have that. But
I did get this from you, which is one of my most prized possessions, if not my most prized possession. And I thought I was going to have to declare war on the UK on behalf of the United States, because it took forever to get back here because of customs. But I did finally get it signed by everyone. So Swifty and the 4 that are currently in the band. And I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to have Ian sign it, because he was their manager at the time. He booked the gig. I think he was with them on the road. I got to ask him. I need to shoot him a message. He's going to be with them on this tour, running merch like he was a couple of years ago, so I can take my my Into the Fire demo and have him sign that, because his address and such is in there for For correspondence, please please send a letter to Ian Cleary, whatever his address was. And he's just a cool dude. He actually told me, actually, let me, before I go off on a tangent, this is the poster for the very first international Satan show. They had done some shows and stuff beforehand in like small clubs and you know, the equivalent of like VFW halls and such, but they had never really done a proper show in a proper venue, and this was their first, and it was in Eindhoven, Netherlands at the Dynamo, February 26, 1983. And it is my one of my most prized possessions, if not my most prized possession, and I got that from you, and I will never not appreciate that.
Well, you're
but where was I going with that? So son of a bitch, where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. I steered off of it in order to explain that, and then oh no, I do remember what it was. So I've been asking the guys, the ones I can get in contact with. Graham is still thinks the internet's going to go away at some point. And I don't have contact info for Steve. Well, I have Steve's email address, but I have it kind of by mistake because I was forwarded an email that I was involved in regards to sharing some stuff on the socials, and his address was in there. And I'm like, I'm not going to be that guy. I'll talk to him when I see him next. But, you know, I've been talking to Russ.
You may as well go there. I mean, you're having, you know, your underwear signed by him. You're such a groupie. Go ahead and email him. They'll understand.
Fuck off. But I have been talking to Russ, Brian, and Sean, as well as Ian, about various things for the archives. So I'm sure you saw a bunch of the stuff that I posted on the Satan pages, I don't know, 3 months ago or so, like various press releases, and I've got a blank performance contract and all sorts of cool stuff, articles and so on and so forth that I've scanned in on my scanner here. But and fuck, I forget his name, and I was going to try to look it up, but that's going to take too long. The guy that did the Court in the Act artwork, Ian has been in contact with him recently, asking him if he had any original artwork that he still had and such. But he said that he thinks all of that made its way to the label, but he's going to be on the lookout for some. But Ian said he could probably facilitate me being able to talk to him, most likely on here.
That would be cool, because I love that album cover.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the artwork for this show is heavily inspired by his work. And, you know, I don't know if he actually had anything to do with any of the artwork later on. But it's certainly all inspired by it. If he didn't do any of it, let's see, additional notes. Nothing here. Lineup, other staff. Yeah, it doesn't say anything. Oh, there we go. Sleeve art. Bill Howell. So, holy shit. I bet you didn't know this. So he did the sleeve art for Court in the Act, as well as the cover art. He did the cover art for Suspended Sentence. He also did the cover art for A Time of Changes.
Oh.
I did not know that, because those are not at all the same. Like, it's not even the same style.
No.
But it's he is he's credited on the Blitzkrieg album as just Cowell. Colwell. He doesn't use his full name. But that's the only 3 albums he ever did, at least according to Metal Archives.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that until right this moment, actually.
It'd
but yeah,
nice.
he's been
to see some of his sketches.
He's been in contact with Bill and said that well, that'll take me too long to try to find the message, but he's been in contact with Bill and said he would try to put me in contact with him. So that would be awesome. I would love to talk to him, because I wonder if he's ever even done an interview.
That'd be cool. So I guess, I mean, we should probably get to the meat and potatoes of this.
Yeah, we've only been beating around the bush, but, you know, you and I go off on tangents every time we talk, it seems.
Well, okay. In a nutshell, and from I can't remember the exact timelines, because, I mean, it was an amazing time of how this music was filtering out to us. We had the perfect storm. We had nightclubs that did not enforce the age limit, so I got to see shows when I was 12 years old. We had the again, we started out with like the record factory. They had the used record shop connected with it, so they got a lot of imports. And then the holiest of holies, we got the record vault, and there was Pam, Zeri, and Greg ran the place. And
Are either of these two places still around?
No, all gone. But Greg, and if you read stories about metalheads from around the world, and they all have a similar story because they all had their club, they all had their underground record store, and they all had their guy. And my guy was Greg. I would walk in.
Mine was Jeremy Lamano. I still talk to him to this day. Record store's still there.
My guy died, unfortunately, a couple years ago. But I would go in with my weekly allowance and whatever money I came up with, slap it down on the counter, and Greg would pick me out something. He'd pick out whatever I had enough for, and he always like gave me something extra, like a single or something. But he was the one who, he turned me on to Angel Witch, he turned me on to Mercyful Fate, and so on and so forth. And with my friends, we'd all try to come up with, we all wanted to discover something new. We all wanted to be like, hey, check out this band. And my buddy got me really good. He pulled out a Mithra, the 4-song EP. And I was desperately trying to top that because I loved that EP so much. But we had Ron Quintana with KUSF, and Ron would play the most obscure music. And he's a guy who doesn't get enough credit for what he did for us. But he would blast out Angel Witch and Sweet Savage, Blitzkrieg. And I had heard Blitzkrieg for the first time, wasn't until probably 82. And I got the single and the Blitz Alive demo. And then probably
I'm so glad I got one of those when I did, because for some reason the price of that thing has spiked up over the last 2 years.
My copy wasn't an original. Tape trading was insane back then. You're just back and forth, and if someone got something, they dubbed it for everyone, which is going to lead into a good point in a minute. But I have a vague memory of a friend letting me borrow.
And I had a brain fart. You said Blitzed Alive. I was thinking Blitzkrieg and Buried Alive, the 7-inch. You're talking about the blue tape, of which I have a copy of, but as I told you last night, and Brian thinks mine is a dubbed copy, but it's like of that period. It's not something that was dubbed within the last couple of decades.
I had a dubbed copy of Blitz Alive, but I got the single around that time, 82, and a friend let me borrow their Roxcalibur. And so,
I finally snagged one of those. It's not here yet. It'll be here. It just hit New York today, actually. I bought it from Japan. It was the nicest copy I could find online that wasn't going to set me back an arm and a leg.
When we were talking about Been There?
Yeah.
I got one.
I mean, I have one, but it doesn't have a cover. I wanted one with a nice cover. Okay. But I was trying to hold out for one that comes with the poster in the inner, but they don't exist.
I didn't have a poster in mine.
Not all of them did. Only some of them had a poster. All of them should have had an inner, but only some of them had a poster for some reason. They only made 2,500 copies of the record or whatever. But
that was my introduction to Satan, was Oppression and the Executioner.
I desperately want them to pull out just one of those on this tour. Just one. They've done it. They've done it. They've done it recently.
They did. I think we got Oppression.
No, not everyone did. I didn't get it. Buddy in Indiana saw it. Same fucking tour. 3 days later. I didn't see it.
Maybe they just don't like you.
That probably.
But no, we got one. I think they did Oppression here.
No, they did Oppression on the tour, just not every night.
Yeah, but they did play one of my all-time favorite songs, which was Kiss of Death, and they ended with my other all-time favorite, Alone in the Dock. And now this is like, okay, here's where the timeline gets a little screwy, because we talked about this yesterday, and I don't remember if it was, well, okay, during the course of 83, I had heard that I read somewhere that Brian Ross had joined Satan, which was great because I loved that single.
That should have been Swift's last show with them. I'm going off the top of my head. because my poster is upstairs. I know it was June. It was early June. I want to say it was June 3rd. Because it was his last gig with them was with Girls School at the Beer Keller or Dingwalls. Same venue, different name. But I'm trying to see if my list here says the exact day. It does not. It says May, but it's not. His sheet's wrong. It was June 3rd, I believe. June 2nd or June 3rd of 83. That was Ian's last show. So who knows? I mean, there were shows right after it on the thing, but it just says June. So it could have been later that fucking week that Brian played with them for the first time. But Brian joined in at least on stage joined. He may have joined unofficially earlier before he was gone, but he joined in effectively June of 83.
Okay. Well, I got anyway, again, the timeline, I don't remember exactly. I've been trying to remember how it fell into place, but I already knew who Brian Ross was. I had the Buried Alive single, and then I got the Avenger single. And so I always really liked his voice. And then when I found out that he had joined with Satan, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. But again, I can't remember if I had Court in the Act first or the 83 Three Broken Fingers show tape.
Okay, sure.
So we got that tape.
So that tape circulated that early and that quickly?
Yes. Now let me finish this because it was good. So that tape, I got that tape from Sam Kress, and you know that name.
Yep.
He gave me a copy of that. Every single one of us had a copy of that. That was
actually, I know that name, but this is not a conversation just between us.
I got you.
30 seconds on who he was.
Sam Kress was one of our legendary, guys in the scene. He was the original singer for Heathen. He put out with Brian Lou. Brian Lou was, Murder in the Front Row.
Who's a great fucking follow on Instagram under the name Umlaut.
Oh, yeah. So it was Brian and Sam Kress put out the one and only Whiplash magazine, which could have been huge had they continued, because that one issue was fucking awesome. But Sam,
I found a digital copy of it online that I was perusing through this weekend, and I'm hell-bent on finding a physical one.
I wish I would have known, because before Sam passed, he had left me. I had 12 copies of it. So anyway, Sam was a good friend. He lived just 7 blocks away from me. So I've known him for years, and he gave me that tape. And there was tapes that, of course, everyone had the No Life to Leather Metallica demo tape. There was an Exodus in '84 at Ruthie's tape that everybody had. And that 83 Satan tape was one.
Did that ever get released anywhere? That Exodus tape? Did anyone ever do anything with that?
I think it shows up on a bootleg somewhere.
Okay.
But these were, all stuff that we, someone went in with the tape recorder and taped. But
sure.
that Satan tape, everybody had it. And no matter if we had a party at someone's house, or, a keg party at the beach or at the park, any party that we had and someone had a boombox, that tape came on.
Now, let me ask you this, because I'm a little confused. The Three Fingers tape that you're talking about, specifically, what is that? Is that what turned into Live in the Act, or is that the night before Blitzkrieg over Holland?
No, Live in the Act.
Okay, because Blitzkrieg over Holland is the night before, and again, the Three Broken Fingers, he didn't play the gig. He couldn't. Their guitar tech did, because Andy Reid.
Fucking, well, I mean, he did come out and play.
He didn't play the whole show. I do know that.
But he did play.
Okay.
So the tape, I mean, all those songs were killer. Brian sounded awesome. The band sounded great, and everything fell into place, and the audience was intense. And we're sitting there over here. I mean, we had our own scene developing, but we were frothing at the mouth, listening to this, going, I want to see this band. And everything was, there's so many like quotable moments from it. Brian coming out with, Steve Ramsey playing with 3 broken fingers. How about that? And so that, we'd always joke, 3 broken fingers. Or the other one was, at the end, God bless you. Without you, there would be no Satan. A curious statement, but I know
his sense of humor with shit like that is hilarious, because like the last time I saw them, the last time I saw them, no, I'm sorry, because the last time I saw them was earlier this year in Chicago. The last time I saw them before that would have been down in Iowa, and everybody's drinking and playing and so on and so forth, and I just yell out "Hail Satan" during a time that it was quiet. And he just stopped and acted like he got super offended. I was like, "Oh, Brian."
I love that guy. He's up there with one of my all-time favorite singers. And just his whole demeanor and talking with him, he's just a genuinely nice guy. But he did something that stuck with me. Anyway, again, not knowing which one came first, which I had first, whether it was a live album or the actual whether it was a live tape or actual Courtney Act album. But when that album came out, it stood head and shoulders above the rest. And 83 was an amazing year. I mean, you had Sabotage Sirens, you had Metallica Kill 'Em All, Motorhead Another Perfect Day, Maiden Peace of Mind, Thin Lizzy Thunder and Lightning, Black Sabbath Born Again, and I'm sure there's
more. Which
more.
Is such a weird fucking record, but it's really good.
Born Again?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, phenomenal record. The lyrics are dodgy as hell, but it's a great album, and it was a great tour. It was just really bizarre.
It's the only Sabbath album I'm missing until the reunion. I have everything else.
It's a great album, and I loved Ian Gillan.
100%.
Great voice.
100%.
So, but Brian Ross is in that league of big vocals.
Yes. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I worship at the altar of Brian Ross, very much so.
Absolutely. But when that album came out, I mean, look at the competition, all those albums that came out, and then you got Satan, which the guitar work over the top and the vocals and the lyrics and everything about it was just fucking amazing. And every guitarist in the Bay Area listened to that record and said, I need to step it up a little bit. Because I thought I was good, but I'm not that good. I need to practice a little bit more. And
it infuriates me that Ramsey and Tippins are not on so many greatest guitar duo lists. You've got Hank and Michael. You've got KK and Glenn. You've got Adrian and Dave. It's like, where the fuck is Steve and Russ?
For the people that actually matter, those guys are on our list. So we champion them because they are an amazing guitar duo.
Yes. And still churning out amazing riffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Brian was always a favorite, and we never got Blitzkrieg. We never got Satan out here. And, those were the bands that we all longed to see, along with Angel Witch, but we did get to see them.
So to this point still, has Blitzkrieg never done anything in the U.S.?
Well, let me get to there.
Okay.
So around 99, a friend of mine, he rings me up and he's like, hey, I got this email. There's some festival going on in New Jersey. It's bands I don't care about, but I think you do. And I'm like, yeah, okay, flip it over to me. And it was March Metal Meltdown. With Raven, Riot, Sweet Savage, Blitzkrieg.
So that's the first year, because the second year was the U.S. debut of Diamond Head.
Yeah, and I think Holocaust as well.
Oh, fuck, no, I'm sorry. That may have been... What year was this? This was 99, wasn't it?
99.
I think Diamond Head was 2001. So I think it was the third year, now that I think about it, because I've got the poster to that gig upstairs.
I didn't go. I only went to this one, and it was really a bad time because at that time my mom was dying. She had cancer, and we didn't know how much longer she had. And I got this email, and I'm looking at this list of bands that, you know, holy shit. So I sent it to my buddy Ted, and he looked at it, and he's like, you know, and it's 3 days away, 4 days away. And
who's your buddy Ted? Last name?
Capata.
Oh, okay. It's not who maybe I'd hoped it was.
Oh no. Ted is another one of our legendary guys, and
okay,
friends forever. One of the greatest guys. Traveling with him is funny because he snores like a fucking bear, but great guy. So anyway, he's like, without skipping a beat, he looks at this and he's like, fuck, let's go. I'm like, all right, hold on. And I ring up my mom, and I was just like, you know, hey, there's this event's going and I want to go, but I don't want to go. And she says, I'm not going to die tomorrow. Go see the show. So we do it. We like book everything last minute. We get the tickets. We go out there, and I talked to Sam Kress. I rang him up. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to see fucking Blitzkrieg. And he's like, holy shit. He's like, come over to my house. And he wrote a letter to Brian, gave it to me to give to Brian. And so when we arrived at the venue, we were walking around, and I was looking for Brian specifically because I wanted to, you know, give it to him. And I think they had just arrived, and so he's maybe a little tired.
And a little bit of backstory: Brian like knows these guys well. I mean, he thanked them in the Blitzkrieg not buried alive, the Blitzkrieg 7-inch, correct?
No, Avenger.
Avenger. Okay, I couldn't remember which one, but they're thanked in it.
Yeah,
both Brian and him.
Yeah, Sam and Brian, Metal Maniacs USA.
Yeah. So it's not just some random guy that Brian wouldn't know giving him a letter.
No. It was they were good friends.
Yes.
And so I had this letter, and I walk up to Brian, and I mean, he seemed like he just, you know, was probably tired, didn't want to be bothered with, you know, someone, you know, going, Brian. And so I just, you know, was saying hi, and I'm like, I got something for you. And I handed it to him, and he lit up, you know, seeing Sam's name. He read the letter. And so then we were kind of in. So we got to hang out with him, and we probably pestered him a lot too. But, you know, I've met almost everybody I wanted to meet music-wise. I've met big names, but it was the new wave British heavy metal bands that meant so much to me. So meeting those guys was huge. And, you know, not that I'm like looking at them drooling and, you know, going crazy or whatnot, but it was just, you know, I'm meeting someone that has meant so much to me.
I do think my meeting Brian was a bigger impact on me than meeting Halford, and Halford's my all-time favorite vocalist. I remember walking up to Halford, and I was kind of nervous, but it was like one of those, you know, arranged photo op things with the whole band, so you get like 5 seconds to say anything to them. I think I've showed you the picture of me standing there with all of them, and I had my do you recall there's a print from the Nostradamus album that's the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse? It's a really badass looking oil painting.
Okay.
You know, by all means, not my favorite JP record, but that's a great fucking image. So it was either take my Painkiller record or take that. Last minute, I took that. I wish I would have taken the Painkiller record, but that's fine. I got it signed by most everybody later. But anyway, the lady doing the photo op thing, she's just like, okay, hold up your photo. And I was just like, no, I got something else in mind. And I turn around and I go, hey, that thing that you guys do on stage where you got the guitars and you're rocking, can we like do that? Ian Hill, without skipping a beat, goes, it's called fucking rocking out, man. And I fucking died. And I was like, can we do that? And then Glenn's like, it'll cost you extra. And I said, as Jack Burton said, the check is in the mail. And we all go down like that. I get the picture. I walk away. So it was very quick. But I see Brian, and like I heard he was walking around Hell's Heroes, but it wasn't like everyone like, oh, is he there? Oh, is he there? Oh, is he there? Well, finally I look and he's there. And I'm like, holy shit, it's Brian fucking Ross. And he just looks at me like, oh no, another one.
I mean, it might be the reason why there's that difference is all those other bands were big. They came out here so many times. We got to see them. We got to see them so many times. But we here in the States never got to see any of these NWOBHM bands. They just didn't come out. I mean, Saxon came out, sure. Raven came out. Venom only did the East Coast in 82 or 83. And by the time they did a full tour, in '85, their time had passed because they had been surpassed by Exodus and Metallica and the bands that were coming up. So they were a little too late to the party. But all these other bands, they were so elusive. You know, we were just like, we never got to see them. So when we finally did and actually meet them, and we've had years and years of appreciating them, and to actually finally get to see and meet them. So,
and almost all of them to a fault being super fucking nice people.
Oh yeah. I mean,
like none of them are just like, oh, like I don't want to talk to anybody or anything. Like they've all been nice as fuck. All of them that I've met.
Yeah, absolutely. We scared the shit out of Kevin Hayborn. Kevin came out and he was there and we were all getting our stuff signed and we came at him like 10-year-old Japanese girls at a Beatles concert, screaming, oh my, because we had waited almost 10 years to fucking see them. And we'll never ever get to see them again here for legal reasons. But
I really hope Kevin can resolve that one day.
He could have. But I mean, I told you.
I think, there's a bunch of bands that I've never seen that are gone. I mean, they're dead or whatever that I'll never see.
They tour everywhere but here. They can't.
But I guess what I mean is like there are two bands that are like at the top of my bucket list of bands that I love that I've never been able to see. Oh, I guess three because Blitzkrieg, but at least I've seen Brian.
Okay.
But the two are Annihilator and Angel Witch.
Okay.
And I feel I'm never going to be able to see Angel Witch unless I fucking travel.
I saw all three of those.
Yeah. Well, Annihilator hasn't played a show in the United States since Set the World on Fire tour, which would have been 93. Jeff Waters has not played a show in the United States since that Roadrunner All-Stars thing in like 2000 or whatever. Annihilator's played The Boat, but that's not in the States. I would saw off my own leg and sell it to a fucking 8-year-old right now to be able to go on the boat this year. Fucking Wolf, Satan, and Skyclad. Oh.
That would be cool.
But I'm going to Europe in fucking 3 weeks. I can't afford
it. Money will come. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got to meet Brian and Blitzkrieg and talking to him. And now here's the thing that Brian did that stuck with me, and I appreciate it a lot now, was I was again so excited, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm finally going to see you guys. Are you going to do this song? What songs are you going to do? What songs are you going to do? And he wouldn't tell me. And I'm like, come on, throw me a bone. He's like, no, I don't want to ruin the surprise. I want you to feel it when we play it. And I was a little put off for a minute, but then I thought about it. I'm like, okay. And sure enough, when they hit the stage, every fucking song was, oh my God, they're playing this. Holy shit. Just losing our shit because they were playing. It was just amazing. And then, you think that it couldn't possibly get better. Then they bring out Jess Cox from Tigers of Pantang.
Fuck yes.
And Jess does 4 Tiger songs. And we're just fucking losing our minds. Like, oh,
so he did 4 Tiger songs with Blitzkrieg as the backing band?
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Over the top. I can't remember I know he did Euthanasia.
I love that. I love that first album. That's my favorite Tigers album by far.
Absolutely rules. So we got to see that, and then Blitzkrieg finished off the set. We got to see Sweet Savage. Fucking hell, I love Sweet Savage. And the Sweet Savage guys, this was good. This all happened in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And in 99, that was a dead town. It was just
at some like convention hall or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, the big convention hall. Sabbath played there.
Yep.
But it was
my buddy lives like 8 minutes from there.
Yeah, it was a ghost town. They had a building that was being built that the money just like evaporated. So it was just a skeleton sitting there. Everything was closed down. And I guess the local diner found out that that food, that they're well, hold on. I lost my train of thought. They found out that a big event was happening, so they opened up the diner. But they didn't bother to clean up because there was like, an inch of dust covering everything. But there was no places to eat. Food was It was like the Road Warrior, you know, when they're trying to find fuel. For us, it was food.
Was that a Jack Koshik festival?
Yeah.
Okay.
That guy
might explain some things.
That guy was a character.
Yep.
So,
I know someone that knew him very, very well, who helped with like Milwaukee Metal Fest and such, Don Decker.
We had a conversation. He's an interesting character. I'll leave it at that. But
yeah.
So anyway, we're going in there and they're putting the food in front of us and we're like looking at it going, we're probably going to get botulism, but fuck it, I'm hungry. So we're sitting there scarfing and I can hear Irish accents behind me. And I turn and I look and I'm face to face with Ray Holler and Dave Bates, and Simon, he had his back to me. But I was like, holy shit, Sweet Savage. And so we all, you know, we got up and we're talking and, you know, we're taking pictures of them. And then once I established like, yeah, we flew out here to see you. We came out from California. We just landed a couple hours ago. And they're like, you guys flew out to see us? I'm like, yeah. So then they started taking pictures of us with their cameras. And so we got to hang out with the guys for the next 2 days. Drove down with the guys in Blitzkrieg, where I guess someone needed a cable, so we were going to some abandoned mall that had 1 or 2 stores open. And a funny thing was in the music store they had video monitors going, and they were showing a Eminem video. And Brian walks up, and he was just like, he was disgusted. This is fucking garbage. My kid listens to this crap, and he was just really disgusted with it, and that was a good laugh. The second day of the festival was, I guess, when the vendors were coming in.
Okay.
And I was excited because Neat Records was going to have a booth, and Neat Records put out everything. So I walk up, and I'm like pulling out CD after CD. I mean, I had a stack. And the guy who was running the booth was just running his mouth going, oh, what the hell are you doing? You're just making a mess. And I'm going to have to put all this stuff away. And what the fuck are you doing? You're just, what's going on? And I'm trying to shop, but he's just like, oh, you're just making a mess. So I pull out my wallet. I pull out $500. I slap it on his chest. I'm like, can you shut the fuck up? He's like, oh, you're serious. You're a real buyer. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, shut up. I think I ended up spending about $600.
That was me at Concerto in Amsterdam in 23. I bought like €700 worth of records. I'm like, fuck, I can't afford a shirt. He's like, for this much, I'm giving you a fucking shirt. Grab a record bag too. I was just like, sweet.
That was I really wanted a Blitzkrieg shirt. None of the guys brought any merch over, and we were in the hotel room, and was it Jeff? I think it was Jeff, the guitarist for Blitzkrieg. He's like, hold on. And he reaches back and he pulls out his shirt, his Blitzkrieg shirt, and gives it to me. And I was like, you rule.
I have Andy Sneap's one of his personal Hell shirts, because I think I told you the story about meeting him and getting to spend some time with him and get a shit ton of stuff signed. And I was like, by chance, you got any Hell merch back home, or is there like a warehouse you guys have some stuff in, or storage building or something or another? He's like, I don't know. I'll check with the guys when I get back. And he got back and he's like, what are you looking for? And I said, literally anything you have. This is what I have. I'll take anything else. And so he had a copy of Human Remains that I didn't have because it's pretty fucking rare, but it was his personal copy, and it was like the red version that's really hard to find. He sent me that, a shirt out of his closet, just a black shirt with just white this same logo, just white. And some stickers and some patches and stuff. This one, as well as a bigger like back patch version of this and such. And I was like, all right, what do I owe you for shipping? He was like, not a goddamn thing. Thank you for being a fan. I was like, nicest guy in the world ever. All right then. So that truly means something for him to pull it out of his suitcase or out of his closet or whatever and be like, here, you mean something to us instead of the other way around. That's
very cool. Yeah, the other thing with Blitzkrieg, I mean, the whole lead up, you know, we were just like, God, it has been so long. We've been fans for so long, since, you know, 82, and now it's 99. And of course, we're just like, how's Brian going to sound? Because he was so amazing in those early days and on those.
How do you think I felt in 2022?
Exactly. And no, and that's what I'm getting at is, you know, we're sitting there going, how is he going to sound? You know, can he pull this off? It's been a long time. And he came out note for note, man, fucking perfect. And we were just like jaw drops going, oh my God, he still sounds amazing. And then it's flash forward 2014, I think, when
Satan, that was when they hit the US for the first time. Yes.
Yeah. First time, 2014, you know, 30 years later that we had been waiting for that lineup. And we're like, okay, can he still pull it off? Nailed it. Perfect. And he's does not skip a beat.
I mean, he turned 70, what, a year ago or 2 years ago? I think 2 years ago. I think he's 72. Let's see. 71. He'll be, no, I'm sorry. He is 70. He'll be 71 in October. So yeah, he's 70. He sounds 20 years younger, at least.
I hope when they come back that, you know, they deserve like a bigger show here. They've played relatively smaller venues here, and unfortunately the crowd, you have idiots who are doing stage dives and fucking mosh pits and all that, and that's fine.
His rants at Hell's Heroes against stage divers and stuff are legendary. I have one of them recorded. I'll send it to you. It is fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen it firsthand. He's just, and I understand it. I don't like it either. I mean, I hate it for that reason and another reason. Because thanks to one of those assholes.
You went to school. One could say that you learned another lesson in violence.
Yeah. I mean, I actually had a broken neck because of some dumbass who jumped off the stage. And it's like, if you're over 200 pounds, your fucking stage diving is over.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to kill somebody. And I almost was.
I got kicked in the head during Satan's set by a stage diver at Hell's Heroes. And he was more than mad. Fucking Brian was. Brian was losing his fucking mind. And like the guy turned around and was flipping Brian off. It was just like, and he kept doing it. He jumped up like 4 or 5 times. And I'm sorry, not stage diving because the stage is far enough away. Crowd surfing. He got kicked in the head by the same guy crowd surfing like 7 or 8 times.
Fucking stupidity. I never understood the people who got wasted before a show. You know,
how do you ever remember it?
Exactly. And I never understood the people who run around in the circles. It's like, hey man, how was the show? Show? I don't know, but the pit was awesome. I mean, what the fuck? I'm not paying that whatever amount to run around in a goddamn circle. I want to watch the show.
Yeah.
I mean, when for us, what it was in the early days was everybody was at the front of the stage, and it was just bodies climbing over bodies because you wanted to get onto the monitors, you know, and it was fun. It was just playing King of the Hill. But then the punk scene intermixed with us, and then we had the slam dancing, but the mosh pits where it's just a whole, you know, people just go to run in a circle and punch one another is asinine.
I was in a Slayer pit in 2004. Not by choice. I was trying to get to the front of the stage and I almost made it. And I got full on like football speared by this guy. It's just like, what the fuck? This isn't fun. Like, I understand the running around in a circle thing. I can see how that would be fun. It's not my bag. I don't mosh, but I can at least understand it. But just getting in the pit to fight people, it's like, fuck off.
Well, we had that too. We had, I mean, like, okay, in the early days, we go to punk shows and always would come home bloody because they didn't like us. They didn't want long hairs at their shows. And so it was, you know, we wanted to see it. So we'd go there and we'd fight just to see a goddamn show. And then you had the crossover time where, you know, punk bands were adding a little metal touches to their music. And there was, you know, a lot of mixed gigs, punk bands and metal shows. And so there was still a lot of fights because now we're just pushed together. And then after a time, it just gelled, and you know everyone was kind of cool and accepting. But once MTV kicked in and started showing you know, the shit going on in New York with little mosh pits, the jocks saw this and figured, hey, we could go to these shows and crack some heads. And that's exactly what they did. Except when they first started, there was a lot more of us. And once they started coming into our pits and started, you know, punching out long hairs, they got their fucking asses handed to them. They went out bloody. And
that is one thing that I'll say about most shows that I go to. If someone gets in the pit and they're overly rough, they knock people over or whatever, A, that person gets fucked up, and B, there's like a wave of people to grab the person up and help them back up and so on and so forth. Like, I do appreciate pits kind of policing themselves. I just wish sometimes they were better about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it just for the sake that, you know, from my experience of what happened to me,
right?
I don't like having people behind me.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm not a violent person, but if someone comes at me that way, that hard, I'll fucking clock them. And I have. But again, I don't go to a show to run around a fucking circle. I want to see the band. And I mean, how do you remember anything because you're focused on running in a circle?
Yeah, you know, I've never been a pit person. There was definitely at least a decade, probably a decade and a half, that I was, let's get as close to the rails I can. Now I'm very much a wall or soundboard hugger.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my last stage dive was June '86 at a Celtic Frost show.
Whatever happened to them?
Celtic Frost?
Yeah. Isn't it the truth that they got lost?
Oh God. I mean,
in the pandemonium, never to be seen again.
They fell.
I was making a really bad Stormtroopers of Death joke. Never mind.
No,
whatever happened to Celtic Frost? Yeah, never mind.
No, Celtic Frost unfortunately fell the victim to the same thing that happened to Saxon, Girls' School, Raven, a lesser degree Maiden. But Celtic Frost did it really bad. Discharge did it really bad, but they all fell victim to the record label saying, hey, put on makeup and hairspray and you're going to get, you know, we'll sign you and you'll get a bigger audience and we're going to do all this and that for you. But it pissed off their core audience. They never caught on with the, you know, the mainstream audiences. And then they had to, you know, come crawling back to us.
Yeah, I shared this the other day and you just made me think about it.
That's fucking hilarious. I was dying when I saw that. That is so fucked up.
Yeah,
but it's so true.
Fucking awesome.
But they all came back. Girls' School found their way. Raven found their way. Saxon found their way. You know, they came back and just, you know, got rid of that stupid fucking image. And
Saxon has had a really great resurgence.
Yeah.
Like, and I won't even say in the last few years, like in the last fucking 20, Killing Ground kicked ass.
Getting Brian Totler in the band was an incredibly inspired choice because Graham Adler he was one of my all-time favorites because he got these blues-based solos that just hit the mark. And him and with Paul Quinn, they're another one of those guitar duos. And they played off each other really well. And so I was always sad when Graham left, but Paul had held down the fort. But once Paul left, it was like, what the fuck are they going to do now? I mean, forget it. And to pull in Brian Totler, an amazing choice.
Yeah, one of my favorite guitar players of all time. One of the nicest human beings I've ever met. I've had the honor of meeting him 2 or 3 times. I don't recall. But every time I meet him, he's got all the time in the world to chat. Just truly a gentleman and a hell of a guitar player and a hell of a songwriter.
Absolutely. I never got to meet Brian, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've met him. I think it was twice. I think once at Station 4 and once at this other like bar and grill that they played at several years ago. But goddamn, like such a fucking great dude and guitar player. And it bums me out that, you know, Diamond Head was playing a fucking bar and grill. It's like, if I had my way, they would be opening for Metallica.
It's just, what's the name? Sean?
Yeah.
Sean just doesn't want to tour.
Well, no, Sean's not in the band. Sean hasn't been in the band since
Yeah,
Sean
but
left the band in '93.
yeah, but he doesn't want to tour, and
And they
if
don't get along. Like
well,
they'll be civil for like a Metallica show or something or another where they get called up on stage to do a few songs with the boys and get paid a bunch of money to do it. But outside of that, they really don't want to be in the same room with one another.
yeah,
Because I think Brian is resentful towards Sean for Sean's fucking parents managing the band and not knowing what the fuck they were doing and running into the ground. And Sean is resentful of Brian for being resentful at him because he's was very protective of his parents. I can kind of understand that. It was a vicious cycle between the two.
that is a band that could have rode Metallica's coattails to, if not superstardom, at least have enough money in the bank to never have to work ever again.
I mean, they already do. Brian has said that he never has to have a job again, that Metallica alone made him a millionaire just from the royalties from Garage Inc. Well, the 598 EP wasn't Diamond Head on that.
Yeah, helpless.
Yeah. Various Metallica things over the years have made it where he's a millionaire and never has to work again. But yeah. I think that if they would have had accomplished management, they could have been the next Led Zeppelin. I mean, I don't think they would have been quite that big, but they would have had superstardom.
They certainly would have been better than Kingdom Come.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. But like, it's funny because, I've asked Russ, I said, all right, you lived during that time. What was your favorite new wave of British heavy metal album? And he goes, what was yours? And I said, well, present royalty excluded. As much as I love Satan, I got to say Lightning to the Nations. He goes, me too. It's a perfect album. And I'm like, it really is. There's not a bad note on it, much less bad song. And it's unfortunate that they were never able to capture that magic again. There was never a great album with Sean after that. I mean, Borrowed Time's good, but it's not great. Fucking Canterbury has 3 or 4 decent songs. One really good song, like 2 or 3 decent songs, and then everything else is just crap. Death in Progress, it's listenable, I guess. But like they put out some great stuff with I forget the poor kid's name. He's Scandinavian. I know that. I just can't remember his name.
Well, they after the first one, they lost the magic.
Rasmus Baum Anderson. He's been their vocalist since 2014. But like the self-titled was fantastic. Coffin Train wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. But the self-titled was amazing. I really, really like that album. That's probably my second favorite Diamond Head album. So,
I mean, if I had to pick one, my all-time favorite, and it's a really hard one because there was so much music that came out of there, but I would have to go for Angel Wish, the debut album.
Yeah, I think those 3 are it. I think it's Court, it's Angel Witch, first album, obviously, and Lightning to the Nations. I think that's my 3.
I wish Blitzkrieg, Time of Changes, I wish that would have come out earlier, 83 at the latest.
Because that was 85, right?
85.
Yeah.
But still, when I found out that was coming out, holy crap, dude, I was excited. And it was killer.
So obviously, I would imagine that's probably your favorite Blitzkrieg album, correct?
They've not disappointed me at all with the stuff that they've released beyond that. But yes, of course, that is my favorite.
Okay, if that one didn't exist, or take that one out of the equation, what's your next favorite?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
I think mine's Back from Hell. And it's the one that's the hardest to find. And I finally found it. It was not cheap. I think they pressed 500 copies of it. But I finally found it. I found the first one to sell on Discogs in like 6 years.
Wow. That's going to bug me. I'll have to really think about that because they're all killer. And as soon as you hear Brian's voice, You know, it's there. It's great. So
And then like the newest one is phenomenal. It's so good.
I just wish they'd come out. And unfortunately, you know, this is what sucks is every band wants to promote their new stuff, and Blitzkrieg now has a vast catalog, but they've never properly played here, and so everyone when
they'd have to play a 3-hour set to even kind of satisfy everybody.
Exactly. And or do 2 nights at each show, like a one with a mixed one, because I know that they would be upset about this. But everyone is going to want to hear the fucking first album because we never got that.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean the following stuff is great, and there's a lot of songs on those that we want to hear, but we never got those. And Sweet Savage, as much as I loved seeing them, they made a big mistake in my eyes. They only had a very short set, but they changed the arrangements of the songs. And
to modernize them, or did they just play them in a different
fucking
tuning or something?
No, they modernized them, and it was like sacrilege. It still sounded great, but those songs were perfect as they were. And I understand that to them they're old, but for us, it's like yesterday because we never got to see it live.
Well, now did they like, drop tune or something to accommodate for maybe his voice not being what it was 20 years prior, or
Ray's voice was still there.
Okay.
No question.
So there was really no reason for them to do it other than they just felt it prudent.
Yeah.
Huh.
And having lived with those songs for so long, that's what you wanted to hear, and to hear it done differently, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Don't do that. But
I've been lobbying, and I think it's kind of fallen on deaf ears, but I've been lobbying Hell's Heroes for the past couple of years now to do sort of their own super session, where ideally, if I had my way, Satan, Blitzkrieg, and Avenger would all get like 45 minutes. And then Satan would come out and do a set with Swift and Brian. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me formulate my thought before I open my mouth. So each band would get like 45 minutes with their current lineups. Give them an hour. Fuck it. And then after that, Blitzkrieg, Avenger would have Brian come out and do, what is there to do? I mean, I guess 2 songs there. He had to. I refuse to believe that everything on Bloodsports was written for Ian. Brian was probably part of some of the writing there. I would have to imagine maybe they played some of that stuff with Brian when he was in the band. Like, it can't just be the Too Wild to Tame songs. And then have Swifty get up there with Satan and do his stuff. Maybe well, I guess he doesn't have to do the Trev stuff. I guess Brian could do that because they already do that with Brian. But just kind of, throw the fans a bone and say, hey, fucking check this out. Like, you're never going to see this anywhere else. And you're not having to fly anyone in to do it specifically because they're already there playing with their own respective fans.
That would be cool. And I can't imagine what it must have been like at that time to be in that area and all that was going on. And you have, Satan, and they're great doing their thing. You have Avenger, they're doing their thing, they're good. And then it's just like, let's bring in Brian. And then it immediately becomes so much better. Avenger with Brian, fucking amazing. Satan with Brian, fucking amazing. And they were great with the others, of course, but Brian just makes it just a little bit better.
Now, speaking of others coming in and making things better, or maybe not making things better, depending on your point of view, we haven't really talked about this. What's your opinion of like Blind Fury, and your opinion of Satan Mark II / Pariah, or I guess Satan Mark IV, if you really want to be specific, and Pariah?
the music was good. It was heavy. Yeah, there's some great stuff, and then the Skyclad stuff was great. But when Blind Fury came out, it was no longer Brian, so I wasn't as interested. I still liked it, but
so with Satan, like what really brought you to it was Brian.
Yeah.
Okay. So it because I mean you had said the first things that you heard were the Roxcalibur compilation, and obviously that's not Brian, that's Trev.
Yeah.
So
but
like
they were good, and then they became great.
Okay. And I mean Blind Fury is so much fucking different.
Yeah.
And I love it, and it's so fucking just over the top heavy metal, and not at all what I loved about Satan, but I love it somehow almost equally.
I just have to look at it completely different, because it was no longer Satan to me.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as, and again, I do like Ian, and I do like the other Trevor, and
Lou Taylor for Blind Fury, and Mike Jackson for.
I like all those guys, and I like the songs I hear by him, but Brian just brings a new level to it. And another interesting story was so I took, when we were at that festival,
I'm listening, but I'm going to step out of frame because I want to grab something to show you. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Okay, so I took a bunch of pictures at that New Jersey show, and when I got back home, Metallica were doing some event here in the city, and I went over there and I brought the pictures with me to show the guys. And so I was sitting there with Lars and James, and Lars was just like pointing at the pictures of Brian and saying, "Lone Wolf, I got that."
Yeah.
Not with graffiti on it, but
Fuck off with graffiti on it. Okay, mister. Oh, hey, I got this fucking fully signed Mercyful Fate EP. It's got everybody on it. I want $1,000 for it. It's fucking worth it, but don't call it fucking graffiti. It's the goddamn artist signing their fucking Van Gogh is what it is, dickhead.
Well, there's a fine line between being a fan and a groupie, and I think you're leaning towards that one, but
they have seen none of me naked, nor will they, for their sake.
I'm just playing with you, man. No, the Lone Wolf, that one's pretty killer too. But anyway, so I was talking with Lars and James, and I was showing them the picture, and Lars points at Brian. He's like, we tried to get him in the band.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? Beyond trying to get John from Armored Saint, they wanted to get
Never would have worked.
No.
Brian could have worked. Like, it would have been fucking odd, and it would have been amazing. I don't think John would have worked. I don't. And I like John Bush, but
I could see John working, because even when he joined Anthrax, it turned it to a completely different band, but I still liked it.
I didn't. I'm a Belladonna guy.
Yeah, Joey is the only vocalist I saw Neil Turbin, I saw Joey, I saw John, I saw them all sing for Anthrax. Joey is by far my favorite.
I'm Neil's friend. Like, Neil is my friend, and I'm a Belladonna guy. And it's nothing against Neil, because that first album is awesome, but I just
that guy
Anthrax is classic.
I told you that I had to delete this guy.
Yeah.
He's just over promotes himself, and it was like when your entire news feed is fucking Neil. It's like, oh God, just give it a rest, man.
Like I played Halo in my basement with Joey Belladonna. Like, we had a LAN set up in the basement with a bunch of Xboxes at my buddy's old house. I lived in his basement because he's why I moved up here. I moved up here to run his movie theater, and I lived in his basement 2 blocks behind the theater. And so he was a concert promoter and big metalhead guy. He still helps promote Part of Prog Power every year and such. Sword Lord Productions out of the Twin Cities here, Nathan Block. But one of his very best friends is one of Belladonna's good friends, and he also was promoting Belladonna being in town for a show. But Belladonna came here several times he's a big Minnesota Vikings fan for some reason or another, has done the national anthem at Vikings games and such. But he came in and came in either a day or two before his show or a day or two after. It was like a one-off thing. And yeah, we sat in the fucking basement and played Halo. And so I have a copy of Spreading the Disease, signed by Belladonna, that says, "To Brent, playing games all day. Fuck you, Joey Belladonna," because I stomped that ass in Halo.
Nice. Yeah, no, Joey by far was a perfect singer for that band. I probably told you this, but okay, the first time I had seen Anthrax, I didn't know who they were. I may have heard their name, but I didn't hear them. I hadn't heard them at all.
Yeah, you told me this, I do believe.
I mean, the consensus was whoever they are, they better be good or they're going to die.
Who were they opening for, or was it a headlining show and you guys just went because it was a show?
Raven was headlining, Anthrax for support, but Exodus were opening. And 1984, 85 era Exodus, you couldn't touch.
Yep.
They were a vicious fucking beast. And we're sitting there going, whoever these guys are, they better be good, because to come on after Exodus, you know, they'll die. And they came out, and
that's still my favorite line from, and I know it's a sore subject, literally and figuratively, because you've got fucking fat fuck dumped on your fucking head at the Another Lesson in Violence show. Yes, the show that live album is from is the show that he broke his neck at. But just when he's talking about posers being in the crowd, and he's like, "Those people should be found, thrown out, and destroyed." And I'm just like, oh, Baloff, God damn it. I would have traded 50,000 Taylor Swifts for one Baloff. Like, just let them all die and let's keep Baloff. Done.
Baloff had a way with words.
Yes.
I'll tell you a Baloff story in a minute, but let me just finish with Anthrax. So they come out, and Neil Turbin has this fucking giant metal glove and chainmail codpiece, and we're already like, this is ridiculous.
Who did that first, him or Blackie?
Blackie?
Lawless?
I don't know. I've never seen Wasp purposely.
I've only seen Wasp once, and it was fucking awesome, and it was last year.
Well, okay.
Anyway, finish your story.
So yeah, so he's got this. He's a giant. He's got this metal cod piece, and we're just laughing. And then Danny and Scott look like midgets next to him, and Danny has like spiky orange hair, and we're like, what the fuck is this? These guys are ridiculous. But I listened to them, and I was like, all right, they look stupid, but they sound amazing.
And when did you say this was? This was 84, maybe?
July 84.
Okay, so SOD wasn't on the scene yet.
No.
Okay.
But they looked funny to me, but they sounded good. And I was like, all right, good enough that I went and bought, I went to the merch thing and I got a shirt and a button, and I went out and looked for Fistful of Metal the next day. But it wasn't until, okay, then SOD comes out, and that was fucking phenomenal. But then Spreading the Disease, the moment Joey belts out "Young and Free is something you'll never be," that was it. I was hooked. That he was the guy, and he fit in perfectly. Everything was great. Loved that band, and I still love them. Baloff I miss that guy. He was funny. I mean, yeah, a lot of stories were embellished, but a lot of them were true. And one of the funniest ones that I saw firsthand, we were at this house on Shotwell Street, which was like a crap neighborhood back in the day, and how the parties lasted. What?
Is this the house that y'all had to go in after him at, that may have been a house of ill repute and various substance abuses?
It was definite substance abuse. I mean, the parties there lasted for, weeks at a time. I maxed out at 3 days, and I was like, I got to get out of here. But we were there for one party, and I was looking for a friend of mine, and I walked down the hall, and I opened up this door, and it was dark, and I flip on the light, and to my left was a couch, with Baloff, Gary, and Rick sitting there, and a big puff of white in front of them because I just scared the shit out of them, and they jumped. And luckily, everything came back and landed on their mirror. And I was like, okay. And then I turned off the light to back out, and Gary was just like, you can leave it on now. So I leave it on, and I was so focused on them that I didn't realize what was going on to my right. And I look over, and it's this junkie couple having sex, and that's why they had the lights off. I was like, oh, this is fucking too much. And I think I was, 15, seeing all this shit? I'm like, Jesus Christ. But I back out, and then it was either later that night or the next morning. But we're sitting there in the living room, and there was this one guy. Paul could come in a room and survey the room and see someone that, I'm gonna fuck with that guy. And this guy had victim written all over him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was he the type that like he would just see an easy target and just hone in on it because it was the funny thing to do?
Kinda.
Okay.
And this guy definitely, was an easy target. He didn't fit in. I didn't, I don't know what his issue was. But Paul just starts, pulling a Paul on him and just kind of messing with him and, just talking some shit and trying to intimidate him. And the guy is like, getting nervous. And Paul picks up a fork and starts poking the guy. And all of us, the rest of us were far too stoned to stop what we should have stopped. We were just like,
this is the story you've told me. I didn't hear the other one. I thought this story is the story you were about to tell. So this is the story I was giggling about.
Oh yeah. That was too much. But this thing was, Paul is like stabbing the guy, and then it gets ridiculous. The guy's like, don't you fork me. Don't you ever fork me. And he picks up a fork and stabs Paul. He's like, here, I'll fork you. And we're just, the whole dialogue is stupid. And we are laughing. But as soon as the guy picked up a fork and stabbed Paul, we're like, oh shit, this guy really is going to die. Paul's going to fucking kill him. And again, we probably should have stopped it, but we were too stoned and we wanted blood. So, Paul's like, put down the fork. He's like, no, put down yours. And Paul's like, okay, puts down his fork, walks away, comes back from the kitchen with a giant butcher knife. This guy screams, jumps behind this like lounge chair. He has no escape, and Paul is gunning for him. He's just fucking full on point. We're like, he's gonna stab him, but none of us could pull ourselves together to stop him. And finally, Rick Hinault runs up from behind, grabs him a bear hug, and pulls him away from the guy. And he's shouting for the other guy to get the fuck out, run, which he does. Runs out of the house, and Rick calms Paul down. And
now, considering that you considered Paul your friend, you have a decent enough read on this guy. Was he legitimately going to stab this guy, or was he fucking with this guy hardcore because the guy decided not to take it laying down?
At that moment, it's hard to say. I know that the guy would have at least got injured. I don't know if Paul would have actually killed him, but when you're amped up on what he was amped up on, judgment may be off, and he had an audience, which was us. So who knows what could have happened? But I don't think he would have killed him, but I certainly think he might have maimed him. And it's horrible to laugh at this shit, man. I tell people these stories and other more vicious stories, and I tell it with, a smile on my face and a gleam in my eye, reminiscing on this fucking violence and the mayhem. And I look like a maniac because I'm like, oh my God, there was fucking a head on the floor and there's blood everywhere. And it was great.
But in none of the stories that you've told me, like no one, you've told me a couple of stories that ended in someone dying, but it wasn't due to like someone's malfeasance or anything. It was just like, yeah, this funny story. And then, yeah, later on that friend died or something or another, but it didn't have anything to do with that story.
No.
All of the stories that you've told me, everybody got out of it pretty unscathed, unless it was you.
Well, I mean, I broke my neck. But back then you would come home with, a chipped tooth or a black eye or fucking your shirt's covered in blood that may or may not be your own.
What happened to you, man? Metallica show.
Totally, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. They, our music, our generation got demonized and like, oh, they're devil worshippers and they're violent and it's mayhem. And yet everyone got home, most everyone got home alive. But you go to like a rap show and they're fucking shooting one another. So we weren't so violent. Or at least, we knew how to fight. But I don't know. But it was good, friendly, violent fun. It was just kids getting their aggressions out. And, all of us had our shit that we had to deal with in real life. And so that was our escape. And we go there and just fuck shit up. I mean, I came home with a black eye quite a few times. I got my eye gashed open at a Mercyful Fate gig. In '85, Metallica played the Kabuki for 2 nights, and they were playing for Whom the Bell Tolls. And so that was the first time hearing that song live. I didn't realize the intro was Cliff, and so that split second of holy shit, that's Cliff. I forgot that I'm standing right in this swirling mass of people, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And I turned just in time to see the fist that I don't think the guy was purposely trying to hit me. I just think he was going for it, and I just turned into it. So, but he got me good. I saw stars, and by the next day I had a fat black eye. So for the second night, I decided not to go up to the front, but I brought a tape recorder and taped the second night.
Nice.
Which Metallica released the soundboard recording on the Ride the Lightning box set, but they cut out all the in-between song banter.
So you have it, but it's not on the soundboard
that
stuff.
Stuff was like the best shit because James was on fire talking hella shit.
No, so do you think that's why they deleted it? Because maybe he was saying some things that wouldn't be so great to hear now, or?
I don't know. It doesn't, maybe. I mean, nothing was really bad. I mean, he was inciting violence, but but
so was Paul, and they released it as a goddamn album.
Exactly. I mean, it was fun back then. We were having fun.
I love it when somebody in the crowd does something to piss someone off on stage, and whoever's on the stage has the ability to incite violence. There was that Primus Woodstock gig where this dude was in the crowd spitting at Les the entire time, and finally, like halfway through Tommy the Cat, Les fucking had it. And, he's just like, look here, you stupid son of a bitch. I've been standing up here playing all night for you, and if you want your fucking money back, you can have your fucking money back. But I've been standing here watching you. You spit past my head, you spit on my headstock, and then the other one hit me on my shoulder just now. God damn it. If anybody can find who it was, please sodomize him for me.
Our most infamous one was Venom '85 at the Kabuki.
You told me this, and it was awesome.
Oh, dude, Kronos was getting, I don't know if Mantis got hit by anything, but I think Kronos was the focal point. But I know who it was. I won't say, but they were spitting on him.
It was Tom, wasn't it?
It was Tom.
It was always Tom.
Always Tom. But they were spitting on him. One of the guys is no longer with us. But anyway, they're spitting on him, throwing shit at him. And Kronos just loses it, stops the show, threatens to drop the lighting truss on all of us, and kill the entire front row of the audience. And it was brilliant.
And that's how Brian got his book.
Yeah.
Murder in the Front Row.
Exactly. No, that was from Exodus.
Yeah.
Where it was a show at Ruthie's where people had their glass drinks and whatever, and they were up at the front, and those glasses ended up getting smashed on the stage, And when you're up front, you're getting pushed into the stage. So people were getting their hands all cut up on the glass. And then
whoever thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. There was an Exodus show in a very small club called the MAB. And I think it was 84, maybe early 84. And we are, the stage was like, like a little bit above your ankle. So if you ran into it, you get hurt. But we're up there just bashing away. And I look over and I see like a friend of mine, like bunned over, like he got hit in the stomach. And then I look and I see someone who I don't know, same thing. He immediately just doubles over like he got punched in the stomach. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I see a couple more people, the same thing. And then I get tossed over to that way. And I get something that it didn't go in me, but it poked me because I jumped back just enough, but it sliced me. And it was this stupid fucking girl who was sitting on the side of the stage on one of the monitors wearing a tiara and completely out of place, but she was holding a little like 1-2 inch blade, and anybody who like bumped into her, she was jabbing them with this knife, right? So, we're all sitting there like, we're looking at each other. Everyone's got blood on their stomachs and their shirts are cut. And we're looking at this chick and we're like, what the fuck is she thinking? And being chivalrous males that we were, none of us were going to clock her. But we did talk to some of the girls we knew. And we like, hey, this chick is over here stabbing people. The girls all went en masse and fucking beat the shit out of her.
That's technically assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, most of your vital organs are 3 to 5 millimeters below the skin.
Yeah.
So that's well in excess of where those organs could be found.
I draw a line. I'm not going to hit a chick, but I'll find another chick to hit her for me. And they wailed on this girl and they dragged her out to, out the side door and into the alley. And then they really did a number on her. And that alley is fucking infamous for debauchery and
street justice, apparently.
Yeah, she got fucked up. That was pretty good. She was never to be seen again.
Well, buddy, we're at fucking an hour and 56 minutes. I did not anticipate this was going to go this long, nor did I plan for it to, but I wouldn't change it for anything. I had a blast. I definitely want to have you back on at some point. This is awesome. I mean, there's still plenty of new wave of British heavy metal stuff to go over. I want to hear the story again about you pissing on Kurt Hammock's shoe in a urinal.
James. It was James.
Oh, I thought it was Kurt.
No, it was James.
Okay.
My mom knocked Kirk over the table.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Okay, same gig, but okay. Yeah, I had my people mixed up. But yeah, I want to hear that story and have you tell it for everybody, as well as whatever else you want to go into, because every time I talk to you, you have a fucking great treasure trove of stories to pull off of. But I'm going to let you go on this one so that we can actually get done at a reasonable time. Sitting a podcast, this is a video cast, so people can watch it and they can pause where they want to, and hopefully it'll save it in their YouTube history and such, so they don't have to bang out the whole 2 hours at once if they don't have it. And the next episode I may try to pull solo, or I may try to grab somebody else sometime in the next couple of weeks. Not sure the how frequently I'm going to do these, if this is going to be like a twice a month thing, a once a month thing, a once a week thing. I think if I do once a week, it might burn everybody out on it a little bit, but I definitely have a lot of stuff to talk about. Definitely got a bunch of stuff to share of the band's history and such that I've got high quality scans of that I can pop up on screen and kind of talk about. I've got several other people from around the world and such that have been Satan fans for a long time. I've got two guys, one that I've approached about it that's definitely in. The other who I'm going to approach about it, I think he'll be in as well. Guys that are part of the Dutch scene that saw Satan the first time around. One was at the Feb 26 show at the Dynamo. The other was at the Steel Trap show, as well as a couple of other shows.
Dude,
So some legendary Satan gigs.
That's what I would want to hear. I want to hear from the Dutch fans that got to see him in '83, because those fuckers were maniacs, man.
Yeah.
We're listening to that, and also hearing about Mercyful Fate playing the Dynamo. So Dynamo was like legendary for us. I never.
Well, so Henry, the one guy that I want to have on, he either worked at or was a partial owner of the original Dynamo. And so that first show that I now have audio of, he gets up on stage with them. Him and his buddy and Ian are all doing like Hell Bent for Leather and so on and so forth, because that's in the set. He's given me a shit ton of pictures from that night and of various things that and it's not even just that night, it's like from the day or two beforehand and such too, like them hanging out and stuff. So I want to get him on. I've not talked to him specifically about it yet, but I have told him I wanted to talk to him about just the stuff, and he's always been responsive, so I'm sure I can probably get him on. But my other friend Fran, he is from the Eindhoven area as well, or was. I don't think he lives near Eindhoven anymore, but he's close enough. He's going to try to come visit me when I'm over there in Eindhoven. But he was at the Steel Trap show, which was Friday, November 13th, 87, right before they changed their name to Pariah. And that was the last show they did as Satan. That was the last gig of the infamous Running Wild tour that they did direct support for Running Wild. This was the last night of the tour, but Running Wild, their last night was the night prior. So this was a headlining gig. I keep pointing at it because the poster's on my wall right there. That's why I'm pointing.
I think aside from the band themselves, the best people they interview are the Dutch fans.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do with this. Like, I'm going to talk to the boys at some point. Like Russ has already said, he's 100% in. He'll be on anytime I want him to. But I don't want to fall back on that. Like, I don't mind using it from time to time. But as I told Jarvis, their manager, when I wanted to start this thing, this is not an official Satan property. This is not officially endorsed by Satan. They are aware of it. They're more than happy that I'm doing it. But it does not officially involve them. Whereas, you know, I may bring them on to talk to them from time to time and such or whatnot, but it does not officially involve them, and I wouldn't want it to. Like, this is my thing that I want to pay homage to them. I do not want to add more onto their already very full plate. But yeah,
it would be cool. I mean, Dynamo is so intertwined with their legacy.
Mm-hmm.
That if you had, because I would really love to hear what, you know, those Dutch fans were, you know, what they got to experience and what they saw in their memories. But to have that intertwined with, you know, the band themselves, their memories, but, you know, specifically for that era.
Well, something else I'm going to do, and I've talked to him on Facebook through the Satan page. I will reach out to him through my personal page, but Mark Gregory, the guy that went with them on their Dutch tour, who worked for Kerrang, who wrote an article in May of '83, the Gene Simmons cover Kerrang that I just got a couple of weeks ago. I've had a full scan of that article for a while, but I finally tracked down a copy of the magazine that wasn't $40. I want to get him on and talk to him because he wrote an article about being on that tour with them. And the article was great. I mean, it's a one-page article. I'll shoot it over to you. I've got it at my fingertips right now. I'll send it over to you. It's a fun read. And I would really, I mean, he was like, Steve was drunk as fuck on the ferry and all this stuff. Like, it's really funny. But I want to talk to people. I mean, that's why I had you on. It's the same principle. I want to talk to people that were there because I wasn't. And I want to live vicariously through you guys and also allow you to share your story with other fans that give a damn about their history and everything else. And, you know, the band is too important to be lost to time.
We're here, we're limited in what we could say because, again, we were getting to know them through live tapes. And it was like, there wasn't even videos or anything. We didn't get to see them until 2014. But that first show was over the top because we were just losing our minds to actually see them live after so long. And they sounded great. And it was brilliant.
I know Ian their former manager and friend. He wants to come on. And I'm trying to think who else I've talked to. I'm going to try to get Swifty. I don't think it's going to happen. He's just not really online. My conduit to him is Gary. I talk to Gary not super often, but often enough. So I might be able to pull that off. I don't know. I may get Gary on to talk about Avenger and Brian being an Avenger and such. And just kind of because he came up with those guys. I mean, and fucking Gary's brother Sean, he's a memorabilia dealer. Like he's who I got the Girls School Satan Swifty's Last Show flyer from. He's cool as shit and has a lot of great stories as well because he grew up around them and went to all those shows and stuff. So I want to get him on and talk to him, and I think he'd probably be keen on it. So I've got a large resource pool that I can pull from of various people that I can have on to tell cool stories and stuff like that and really try to set the stage.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear the guy. I'm boring as fuck. I want to hear.
You're not. I assure you, you're not. You may be boring to you. Every single I can't tell you the number of stories you've told me on Facebook that I've immediately copied and pasted over to my friend Will because I'm just like, because he's a massive Metallica fan. And I'm just like, dude, read this shit. And he's like, what the fuck? That's hilarious. So, yeah, no, you're a great fucking storyteller.
I probably shouldn't tell that one story too much anymore, but it is funny.
Dude, if anybody would get mad about that 40 years later, it's like, come on.
James deserved it. That's all. He deserved it.
Well, what happened when women get involved?
Huh?
I said that's what happened when women get involved.
Well, I'll leave that one.
But no, this has been a blast. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to do a solo show coming up or if I'm going to try to have someone else on. But I kind of very briefly set the stage for what I want this show to be at the beginning of the show today, but I didn't want to keep you waiting too long. So I may do a show where I just really in depth go into what I want this show to be and kind of where I'm at in the quote unquote greater Satan project that I've now taken on, not as a burden, but as a project that I'm really enthusiastic about. And thankfully it seems that they support me in this endeavor. So I'm very thankful for that.
I had to dress for the part.
Yeah, I was gonna wear a Satan shirt, but I was like, that's too cliche. Like I have so many of them.
I did it.
I was just like, I'll grab. Which one is that?
I think it was 2016.
Which what's the print on it though? I just saw the top of the logo. Oh, okay. I don't know if I have that one.
My favorite one was the one I got back in '83. And unfortunately, it got ripped up here on the shoulder by some idiot at a show. And I just never got around to like having it put back together.
How'd you get that? Did you do like the mail order?
No, I picked that one up at the Record Vault. They
okay.
I don't know if they ordered it or where it came from, but I showed you a picture of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Let's see. No, it's not here. It's photos and scans. This would be a scan. Of course, it's going to slowly load everything. I have a cool order form somewhere that had a bunch of, I think, suspended sentence era stuff, maybe. Let's see. It's mostly everything loaded, but it's not all completely loaded yet. Is this it? Let's see. I don't know if it's going to let me drag it over here. No, it doesn't. Okay, I have to do it this way. Photos and scans. Bear with me, everybody. All right. Is this it? No, that's the biography for when Suspended Sentence was going to come out. That's not it. I don't know. I have it over here somewhere. I'll share it in a future episode. But yeah, really cool. Actually, you'll appreciate this real quick, and we'll get out of here with this one. something I guarantee you've never seen. I mean, you may have seen it through the page when I shared it, but this has certainly not ever been shown anywhere other than my showing it on the page that day. Where is it? There it is. It's a handwritten info sheet that they sent off to Kerrang and Metal Hammer, and then they just wound up using it for a bunch of people. But it's Russ wrote this as the press release for Suspended Sentence.
Nice.
Before it came out, when they were shopping it around, and it got on Steamhammer/SPV.
I have something cool that you don't have.
You have a lot of things cool that I don't have.
It was Buried Alive, handwritten lyrics by Brian.
I think you've shown me those, actually.
Yeah. That was, he wrote that to Sam, and I inherited it from Sam after he had passed.
That's what happened to him? I know he passed, but if you don't mind me asking.
I didn't know he had diabetes. He went into a diabetic coma.
That's too bad.
And
it seems like, by all accounts, that guy was fucking awesome.
He was. He really was. I liked him a lot. So he was well loved. He was one of those guys that he was good to have as a friend, because you sure as fuck wouldn't want him as an enemy. He was in that Baloff realm. But he was a great guy, and it was really sad. We used to have, we should do it again, but we used to have like a little annual get together, and we had Mick from Adventure showed up to one of them.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. You showed me some pictures where everybody came out.
Yeah. So it was, yeah, that was a big loss. We lost a lot of great people, but yeah, that was a sad one.
That is one thing that I don't envy myself for, versus someone in your situation. You're growing old with your heroes. My heroes are growing old 20, 30 years faster than I am, and I'm going to watch all my heroes die, and I'm not going to have any heroes left, and that bums me the fuck out.
Oh, dude, I've already lost so many fucking people. So you're what, 40?
Yeah, I'll be 41 in November.
So I just hit 55, and yeah, I wrote about this, but I mean, band members, celebrities, people that you don't know, but they've been a part of your life forever. And when they die, you don't know them personally, but they are a part of you because you've spent so much, listening to them. And so it hits you like you've lost one of your best friends.
Ozzy and Hogan.
Yeah. So I'm on that realm. I've lost like a lot of people, and there's band members that I actually did know personally, but when you're old, you expect, family members and your friends to pass on, but they started passing on really early for me, and
that lifestyle is not conducive to long lives most of the time, it seems.
Being 14 and 15 years old and seeing one of your friends the same age in a casket is fucked up.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's a whole other topic and depressing. So we'll pass on that one.
Yep. Well, I just I shot you over that Mark Gregory article if you care to read it, and okay. It's really cool. I'm going to reach out to him and try to see if he's interested in jumping on. And yeah, so I appreciate you being on. Let's certainly do it again. I had a blast.
Let me know when you're going to edit this up and put it, because I'd like to check it out.
I may edit it up. Well, no, it's 10/11. I'll edit it up tomorrow and put it out.
10/11. Man, you're living in the future. Only 8 here.
Yeah. All right. Well, I greatly appreciate it, dude. Have a good one.
You too. Take care.